For every loved streamer, there is one who is hated by everyone.
Who just said steak, Charmer?
I don't have to wear cleavage every day. I can wear clothes.
I know you needed this song, bro!
I just want to point out that all I did was say his first and last name.
Shroud just killed me.
That was the luckiest shot of my career.
When it comes to streaming, there's one undeniable truth. The internet doesn't hold back. Whether a creator is loved for their personality or hated for their behavior, audiences aren't afraid to pick sides. Today, we're diving deep into the worlds of the most beloved and despised streamers, comparing fan favorites with those who sparked backlash across the internet. Let's start where things get interesting, with a streamer whose personality is larger than life. Queso, the overweight king of comedy. Twitch's biggest streamer, Queso, doesn't exactly fit the mold of a conventional internet icon. With a visibly overweight figure, he's been the punchline of countless internet jokes. From food summoning memes to cruel comments like steak charmer, it's clear that trolls show no mercy. But here's the twist, Queso owns it. When others would get offended, Queso laughs along. He's been roasted in parody videos, with creators joking their monitor fell through the floor watching him. But instead of clapping back, Queso embraces the chaos with open arms. He even joked about his size in-game, comparing himself to tanks and helicopters, making everyone laugh with him, not at him. This ability to stay grounded and self-aware has built him a loyal fan base. He's seen not just as a good streamer, but as a genuinely down-to-earth person. While others try to curate a perfect image, Queso's imperfection is exactly what makes him perfect in the eyes of many. Amaranth, from sympathy to scrutiny. Contrast that with Amaranth, a streamer whose rise was filled with support, only to fall into controversy almost immediately after. Back in October 2022, Amaranth made headlines for an emotional stream where she claimed her husband was controlling her finances and forcing her into explicit content. It was heartbreaking, and viewers flooded in with support, cheering her on when she later announced she had separated from him. Here's where the sympathy started to shift. Despite claiming she finally had freedom and didn't have to work cleavage every day, her content stayed the same. Kai Cenat, streaming with celebs, staying humble. If there's one streamer who's universally loved, it's Kai Cenat. As Twitch's #1 US streamer, he's not just funny, he's relatable, humble, and real. And nothing shows that better than his legendary stream with Kevin Hart. When Kevin joined his stream in May 2024, he didn't go easy on Kai. He joked about his weird little bee legs and long torso in front of millions. But instead of getting defensive, Kai played along. The chemistry was so good, fans demanded a part 2, and they got it just 3 weeks later. This time, Kevin surprised Kai with a hilarious gift. A printout of Tyler rejecting Kai's flirtation, saying, "We friends though." Again, Kai took it in stride, laughing, dancing, and making it all feel like a sleepover between best friends. Nadia, from Warzone Queen to Public Enemy. And then there's Nadia, once known as the best female Warzone player, but that title didn't last long. Soon after blowing up, Nadia was caught using cheats, specifically aimbot, in her games. But cheating wasn't even the worst part. It was how she handled the accusations. After being called out by a fan who used the name Daddy Slayer, she exposed his real name live on stream, pulling it from his PayPal. That crossed a line, and the internet noticed. Twitch banned her temporarily, and although she apologized, it didn't feel sincere. She even claimed she only said his first and last name, like that made it okay. Activision took it even further, blacklisting her from Call of Duty tournaments. Since then, Nadia's streams have been less about gaming and more about shock value, ushering in what many call the era of degeneracy. What made Nadia's case so striking was how fast the narrative flipped. She had gone from being celebrated as a rising star in competitive gaming to being ridiculed as one of the most infamous streamers online. Instead of proving her skill and silencing the doubters, her choices only validated their suspicions. Viewers no longer tuned in to be impressed. They tuned in to watch the train wreck unfold, and she leaned into it, embracing controversy instead of repairing her reputation. The doxing incident especially stuck with people. Exposing a supporter's personal information over a petty insult wasn't just reckless, it was dangerous. It reminded audiences that streamers hold power, and when that power is abused, the consequences can be devastating. Nadia's refusal to acknowledge that fact only worsened her image. Her apology rang hollow, more like damage control than genuine remorse. Shroud, silent, skilled, and universally respected. On the opposite side of that spectrum is Shroud. No drama, no scandals, just pure skill. Shroud is the kind of gamer who makes cheating look unnecessary. His inhuman aim and calm demeanor have made him a legend in every shooter game imaginable. He's not loud, he's not flashy, and he doesn't need gimmicks. He just plays and wins. By March 2019, Shroud reached 100,000 Twitch subscribers, a record at the time. But what's even more impressive is how he did it without the typical streamer antics. He doesn't scream or overreact. He doesn't try to go viral. He's just real. Even other streamers respect him. Watching him play is like watching a master at work. And when he loses, no salt, just a shrug, a smile, and that was lucky. That kind of humility in the world of ego-driven streaming is why Shroud is considered one of the good ones. There's also a sense of authenticity in how Shroud carries himself. He doesn't force a persona, doesn't exaggerate reactions, and doesn't try to manufacture drama. What you see is exactly what you get, and audiences find that refreshing in a world full of clickbait and over-the-top performances. His streams feel like sitting next to a friend who just happens to be unbelievably good at games. That's why viewers stay loyal, because they aren't just watching highlights, they're experiencing genuine gaming moments. Fellow professionals and casual gamers alike often describe him as the benchmark, the player everyone silently measures themselves against. Clips of his insane flick shots and game-winning plays circulate endlessly online, not because he promotes them, but because fans can't resist sharing them. He's built a reputation where his skill alone markets his brand. But perhaps the most telling part of Shroud's appeal is how humble he remains through it all. He could easily lean into arrogance, boast about his talent, or belittle others, yet he never does. When fans hype him up as one of the greatest shooters alive, he downplays it. When rivals praise him, he thanks them and moves on. That humility, combined with his skill, creates a balance that's almost unheard of in streaming. Shroud proves that you don't need scandals or drama to dominate the space. All you need is mastery, authenticity, and respect for the craft. And that's why, years later, his name still carries the weight of someone who truly changed the game, not with controversy, but with pure, undeniable talent. Dr. Disrespect, the persona that collapsed. Now here's a name that once ruled Twitch and then imploded. Dr. Disrespect built a brand on high-energy rants, flashy visuals, and a character that felt larger than life. But behind that persona was a darker truth. In December 2017, he confessed live that he'd been unfaithful to his wife. It was shocking, but some fans stood by him. That changed in 2020 when Twitch permanently banned him with no explanation. For years, the mystery lingered. Then, in June 2024, the truth came out. Dr. Disrespect was banned for texting a minor inappropriately through Twitch whispers. Just days later, a trans woman came forward, revealing she had an affair with him, alongside another woman, all while he was still married. The backlash was swift. He was fired from his own company, and even longtime fans couldn't defend him anymore. The persona had crumbled, and the real person underneath wasn't someone people wanted to support. What made this fall so dramatic was how untouchable Dr. Disrespect once seemed. He wasn't just another streamer, he was the streamer, the one with the futuristic sunglasses, the bulletproof vest, and the booming voice that made every broadcast feel like an event. For years, audiences tuned in not for the games, but for the spectacle. He built an empire on attitude and bravado, a brand so strong it seemed bulletproof. But that's the irony. The armor of the character couldn't protect him from the truth of his actions. When the allegations came to light, the internet felt betrayed. This wasn't just a slip-up or a mistake. This was a pattern of behavior that shattered the trust of millions. And unlike a bad joke or a controversial opinion, there's no coming back from crossing those boundaries. Fans who once wore his merch proudly were suddenly burning it. Clips of his iconic rants became overshadowed by the weight of what he'd done. The laughter stopped, and the silence was deafening. Industry insiders also reacted quickly. Sponsors cut ties. Collaborators distanced themselves. Even his most loyal defenders found themselves admitting there was no defending this. What had once been speculation and mystery was now cold, undeniable fact, and the man who built a brand on being the two-time and the face of Twitch was left with nothing but his own downfall. The tragedy of Dr. Disrespect's story is how easily it could have been avoided. His character was powerful, his streams entertaining, his brand unique, but the mask can only stay on for so long before reality breaks through. And when it did, it revealed not the larger-than-life hero fans thought they knew, but someone whose personal choices destroyed everything he had built. The implosion of Dr. Disrespect serves as a reminder of how fragile fame really is. A persona can capture millions, but it's the person behind it who decides whether that legacy lasts or crumbles. And for Dr. Disrespect, the collapse was swift, brutal, and absolute. Jinxie, the entertainer who knows. It's all an act. Now back to a fan favorite, Jinxie. Jinxie is everything a streamer shouldn't be on paper. Loud, chaotic, over the top. But here's the thing, he knows it's all a persona, and that self-awareness makes all the difference. His stream from March 2024 is still talked about, where he beat Shroud. Yes, that Shroud. 3 times in a row on Rainbow Six Siege. But even after that, Jinxie didn't gloat. He admitted it came down to map knowledge and timing, not raw skill. His fans eat it up because Jinxie makes streaming fun. There's no ego, no delusions, just a guy playing a character and bringing the chaos on purpose. And when the madness ends, you know the real Jinxie is just a regular dude who's in on the joke. What really sets Jinxie apart is how committed he is to the bit. Every shout, every exaggerated reaction, every insane one-liner. It's all part of a carefully tuned performance. He's not losing his mind on stream because he's unstable. He's doing it because it's hilarious. And somehow, even when the energy goes off the rails, it never feels forced. His audience doesn't just watch his streams, they experience them like a roller coaster. From wild screaming matches to victorious mic drops, it's all part of the Jinxie ride. There's also an unpredictability to his content that keeps people coming back. One moment he's pre-firing opponents with near-psychic awareness, and the next he's narrating his own meltdown in real time like a WWE announcer. He's turned gaming into performance art, and fans love it. But beneath the screaming and chaos, there's also clarity. Jinxie knows his strengths, knows what his audience wants, and delivers it with precision. And yet, when the stream ends, the switch flips. There's no off-camera drama, no mystery scandals, no messy post-stream breakdowns. Jinxie simply logs off and lives his life. That's part of his charm, the transparency. Fans know what's real and what's part of the act. There's a mutual respect there, an unspoken agreement that what happens on stream stays on stream. It's entertainment, nothing more and nothing less. In an industry that constantly blurs the line between personal life and performance, Jinxie's clarity is refreshing. Jaishi, a dark legacy of grooming allegations. Not all streamers with big personalities are in on the joke. Jaishi was once rising fast on Twitch until October 2021, when the first of many disturbing allegations surfaced. A Twitter user named Ren shared that Jaishi had groomed her when she was just 13 years old. Their chats, which began innocently, turned sinister by the time she was 14. Screenshots revealed manipulative messages, including pressure to send explicit photos. When she was 14 and he was 19, they exchanged these images. He even pushed for a real-life meetup, which thankfully never happened. Ren's story opened the floodgates. Over 40 other victims came forward, sharing similar experiences. Jaishi deleted his Twitch account and disappeared from public view. But the damage had been done. While legal consequences never came, his reputation was utterly destroyed. Ludwig, the Subathon legend. In contrast, Ludwig's legacy is one of endurance, entertainment, and innovation. On March 14, 2021, Ludwig began a subathon, a stream with no end date, where each new subscriber added time to the clock. What started as a fun experiment turned into a 31-day marathon, watched by millions. At one point, the timer hit 88 hours overnight. By the end of the subathon, Ludwig had gained over 280,000 subscribers, breaking the Twitch record. But what really impressed people wasn't the numbers. It was the consistency, the commitment, the fact that he stayed entertaining for an entire month without burnout. Viewers watched him sleep, eat, and do regular human things. It made them feel connected to him in a way few streamers achieve. And that's why Ludwig remains one of the most loved names in streaming history. What made the subathon even more legendary was how Ludwig managed to evolve his content in real time. There was no script, no schedule, yet every moment felt engaging. Whether he was playing games, chatting with viewers, or just waking up groggy-eyed in the morning, there was always something worth watching. Friends and fellow streamers stopped by, meals became events, and the timer, that relentless countdown, became a character of its own. The stream wasn't just content, it became a living, breathing phenomenon. People were tuning in not just to see what he would do, but to be a part of it. It felt like the internet's biggest sleepover. What also stood out was how Ludwig handled the pressure. 31 days in the spotlight can drive anyone crazy, but he never cracked. Even when the stream reached absurd lengths, he kept things lighthearted, poking fun at the situation, creating memes, and keeping fans smiling. There were moments of exhaustion, sure, but there was never a moment where he lost the essence of what made the subathon special: the connection with his audience. The technical side of the stream also became a marvel. His team coordinated everything from camera angles to donation tracking, all while ensuring things stayed smooth. Behind the scenes, it was a logistical nightmare. On camera, it looked effortless. And when Ludwig finally signed off, he didn't boast or brag. He ended it with the same calm, humble energy he started with, thanking the viewers and giving a simple farewell. The aftermath was just as impactful. Twitch had never seen anything like it. Creators tried to replicate the format, but none captured the same magic. Ludwig had done something new, and he'd done it with sincerity. For fans, it wasn't just about breaking records. It was about being part of a cultural moment in streaming. And even long after the subathon ended, people still talk about it like it was yesterday. That kind of legacy isn't just rare, it's unforgettable. Fosi, the fall of a troubled star. And finally, there's Fauci, a name that's been controversial for years, but hit a new low in 2023. During an IRL stream at an airport, Fauci encountered a drunk girl and saw an opportunity for views. Instead of helping or walking away, he pushed for a photo of them kissing, even asking to send it to his Discord with 8,000 members. The situation escalated when the girl revealed she had been sex trafficked. At first, Fauci and his viewers seemed supportive, donating $2,500 to help her out. But then came the bombshell. Off camera, Fauci claimed to have hooked up with her, bragging that he had joined the Mile High Club, even though it happened in an airport. The backlash was immediate. Clips from the stream started circulating on Reddit, X, and YouTube, with creators and fans alike condemning his behavior. What started as sympathy quickly turned into disgust. Many called it the lowest point of IRL streaming. His past controversies, previously brushed off as just Fauci being Fauci, suddenly looked a lot more serious. The public began digging through older streams, resurfacing countless red flags people had once ignored. Comment sections filled with people admitting they had supported him for years and now regretted it. Even streamers who had collaborated with him in the past came forward, expressing regret and publicly distancing themselves. Fauci's attempt to spin the situation into content, laughing about it, doubling down, treating it like a flex, only poured gasoline on the fire. There was no accountability, no sign of understanding the weight of what he had done. For many, this wasn't just a mistake. It was a line that couldn't be uncrossed. The girl's story became lost in the chaos, overshadowed by Fauci's ego and the circus around him. That's what made it even worse. This wasn't just about a streamer crossing boundaries. It was about someone turning another person's trauma into viral content. Fans who once found him entertaining now described him as manipulative, predatory, and dangerous. It was a turning point not just for Fauci, but for how viewers look at IRL streaming as a whole. The incident forced a much-needed conversation about boundaries, consent, and the ethics of live content. And while Fauci tried to ride the controversy wave, hoping the internet's attention span would shift, it didn't. Sponsors vanished, platforms clamped down, and his name became synonymous with the absolute worst of the streaming world. In the end, Fauci didn't just hurt someone else. He destroyed his own legacy. He became the poster child for how fame, ego, and irresponsibility can turn someone into the villain of their own story. Streaming has created modern-day celebrities, people who rise not through TV or film, but through webcams, controllers, and Twitch chats. Some, like Kai, Ludwig, and Shroud, earn love through authenticity, humor, and humility. Others, like Dr. Disrespect, Nadia, and Fauci, lose everything when the mask slips and the truth comes out. But here's the takeaway. The internet remembers everything. It celebrates the real, and it cancels the fake. And whether a streamer is loved or hated, their actions always speak louder than their follower count. Enjoy the deep dive into the wild world of streaming legends and controversies. There's plenty more where that came from. Hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and dive into our next epic story right here on the channel.